title down. Slope-intercept form is what we're talking about. So if you have not already written your title, write your title at the top of your paper. All right. First thing is our objective. So go ahead and write your objective down, and I'm going to get somebody to read it aloud for me in just a moment. Just about ready, or need a couple of seconds? While you all are finishing up writing, Terry, just go ahead and read it aloud for me.
I can write and graph linear equations using slope-intercept form.
Very good. I can write and graph linear equations using slope-intercept form. So today we're going to work on writing our linear equations in slope-intercept form. Tomorrow you all will work on graphing linear equations using slope-intercept form. Does anybody remember what slope-intercept form is? Because we started talking about this last week. To Darius.
Y equals mx plus b.
Very good. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? So there are two pieces of information that are very, very important in slope-intercept form. Who can tell me which variables we're concerned with and what they stand for? Terrence, give me one of them.
B.
B is what?
Intercept.
Y-intercept. Very good, Terrence. All right, Jalen, give me the other one.
MX.
Okay, just the M is the part that we're concerned with. And what is that for, Jalen?
Slope.
That stands for slope. Very good. So those are the two pieces of information we are most concerned with when we are writing equations in slope-intercept form. In order to write the equation, we need to know our slope and we need to know our y-intercept. Okay? So let's keep that in mind as we go, because we're about to get to our first example in just a second. All right. So I don't need you to write the words, okay, because there are a lot of words and I don't want you to spend your time writing them. I want you to write the 2 points that are up here, okay? And then I'll let you know what we're going to do with those 2 points. So this is your first example, and all you need to write down right now are those 2 points. The entire time we are working right now, I want us to remember slope-intercept form. So we're thinking about that the whole time we're working on this problem. Shadanika, can you read the question at the top for me?
What equation in slope-intercept form represents the line that passes through the points?
2, 1.
1 and 5, -8.
Very good. So they want us to write an equation in slope-intercept form that represents that line. And they give us 2 points that that line would travel through. So I have the steps written here for you so that we can start that way with you knowing what the steps are. And then once you get used to it, you won't need the actual words there. So our first step is to use the 2 points to find slope. Now we have a formula that we use when we have 2 points that we use to find the slope. Does anybody remember what that formula is? So I see 3 hands. I saw Terrence first. So I'm gonna start with him. Terrence, do you remember what my slope formula is?
Y2 over minus Y1 and X2 minus X1.
Over X2 minus X1. Very, very good. All right. So this is our slope formula. How do we know what to plug in? What do we need to do in order to plug in that information properly? To Darius.
Label it at the top of your points.
Very good. So I need to label my points. Jalen, can you tell me how to label them?
X1.
Y1. Very good.
X2.
Y2. Very, very good. Okay, so we've labeled our points. We have our formula. Now we need to fill in the numbers into that formula where they go. Okay? So, Shadanika, start for me. What's going to go at the top of my fraction?
-8 take away 1. Take away 1.
Very good. Over.
5, take away 2.
Very, very good. All right. If you can't do that calculation on your own, you do have your calculators. -8 minus 1 equals what? Close. What is it? -9. Okay. So it's equal to -9 over what's 5 minus 2? 3. And then what are we supposed to do with these two numbers? Divide them. What's -9 divided by 3?
-3.
-3. Very, very good. So now we know that M is equal to -3. That's one of the pieces of information we need to write an equation, right?
Right.
We need to know the slope, and what was the other piece of information? Y-intercept, very good, or B, I heard B over here, so our Y-intercept is the second piece. So the difficult part about this, not really hard, but it's just gonna take some thought, is that they don't give us the Y-intercept. For some other problems we've done, they told us what M was, they told us what B was, and we had to write the equation. But for this one, they don't tell us B. So we're gonna have to find out what B is equal to. So I'm gonna show you how we do that. We are gonna start with slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, okay? The three variables in step 2 that we are gonna always plug in for are M. We just found out what M was. What is M equal to? Slope, but what's the value that we just found? -3, very good. So we're gonna plug in for M. We just found out what that was equal to. And we're also gonna plug in for X and Y, okay? Now step 2 says use the slope, which is up here, and one of the points to find the Y-intercept. So we are going to take a point from our original question and use that for our X and Y. So let's use that first point, 2, 1. Now within an ordered pair like that, we know we have an X and we know we have a Y. Shadanika, which one of those numbers is my X?
It's the 2.
Very good. So 2 is my X, which means 1 is what?
My Y.
Y. 1 is my Y. So that's how I'm going to plug in. What are my 3 variables I'm plugging in for?
M, X, Y.
M, X, and Y. Okay? So let's start plugging in. For Y, what number am I going to plug in? 1.
1.
Y is 1 equals
2x.
3.
What's my M?
-3.
-3. Jalen, where'd you get that -3 from?
The slope.
Up here, where we found our slope. Very good. So -3 times, what's my X?
2.
2. Very good. Plus B. Okay, now take a look at that. See if you can figure out what my next step is going to be. My main goal is to solve for B. I'm trying to get B by itself. Tadarius, you think you got it? What do you think I'm going to do next?
Put the -3 up on the one of them.
Not quite. So I know what you're about to say. Divide by -3 is what you were thinking. But I have to take care of this first. So look at when these two are right next to each other, Tadarius, what does that mean? Multiply. So that's what I need to do next, okay? So let's multiply. -3 times 2.
-6.
-6. So I've got 1 equals -6 plus B. Main goal is to get B by itself. Jalen, what's next?
You add the 6 on both sides.
Very, very good. Why did you add 6, Jalen?
Because you subtract, you do the opposite of subtraction.
Opposite of...
Subtraction.
Well, this is not subtraction. What's that sign?
Negative.
Negative, okay? So since it is negative, we do the opposite of that, which is to put a positive under there or add, okay? What happens with these?
Cross
it out.
Cross those out, very good. And we add these two, was 1 plus 6? 7. So we know now that B equals 7. So what were the 2 pieces of information we needed to write our equation?
X and Y.
No, we needed the M. I heard M. And Y-intercept, okay? And we needed Y-intercept. So we just found both of those. We found our M, which is our slope, and we found our B. So remember, when we started, we said that slope-intercept form was Y equals MX, what's the rest of that?
Plus B.
Plus B. So we can plug in the information that we just found. So we're going to plug in for M and plug in for B to get our final equation. Final equation is Y equals -3
plus 7.
X plus 7. Very, very good. So this is our final answer. They asked us to write an equation in slope-intercept form, and that's what we just did. Okay? Does anybody have a question about anything that we did on this board?
No, ma'am.
Are we sure? What was the first thing we did? In step 1, we found what?
Slope.
The slope. Very good. In step 2, what did we end up finding? Y-intercept, which is B, but we started out with slope-intercept form to do that. What 3 variables did we plug in for?
MX, Y.
M, X, and Y. Okay? Question, where do we get our X and Y from?
The points.
One of our points. Very good. So we chose one of our points. It does not matter which point you choose, and that's where we got our X and Y from. Okay?
Is that where the 2 came from?
Yes. So we chose the first point, 2, 1, and the 2 was the X. The first number in your order pair is always X. So that's why we plugged in 2 for that X. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You got it? Okay. So I have one for you. I want us to try to start this one. Okay? So first thing you need to remember is what your formula is for slope. Do we remember what that is?
Y equal MX plus B.
Well, that's slope-intercept form. What's our formula to find slope?
Y1
take away.
over
Very
X2. Yes, ma'am.
We got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And so find your slope, and we'll see where we end up from there. After you get your slope, let me know. And I'll check that part. Y2 minus Y1 over a little Y2 minus Y1 over X2 under that Y2, X2 minus X1. Okay, so then what we do, I need to write down 2 new points. So 3, -2, you want to do -3, write those 2 points down for me. And then I'll show you how to label. Okay, so first set of points is always going to be labeled X1, Y1. Okay, so write that above there, X1, Y1. And over here, it's going to be X2. And what you think the second one's going to be? No, we got our X1 here, so it's X1, Y1, X2, very good, Y2. So now we can plug in. So at the top of our formula, it says Y2 minus Y1. So what's your Y2? -3. So you're going to have -3, right under here, because you want to run out of space. -3 minus, now what's your Y1? -2. So minus -2. You gotta put your negative in front of it. Okay, so it's minus -2. I know that, so that's your minus sign. So you'll see what happens. It's gonna make it, your answer come out a little bit differently. So -3 minus -2. Now put your line under all the way across. Over. Now X2 is equal to erase the X2, you gotta plug in the number that's for X2. So what number is labeled? Where's X2? There you go, very good. So 1 minus, now what's your X1? 3. So write your 3 right there. So now I want you to do your calculation. So you may use your calculator. -3 minus -2, put that in and see what you get. You're on the second part, so let me check this out. -1 over -2, so that's not equal to 2, okay? It's actually equal to just 1/2. So 2 negatives make it positive. So that means you just have 1/2 of your slope, okay? So you were on the right track, very good. So plug in 1/2 for your M. Now what is X equal to? You use 3, well, which point are you using? 3 comma negative 2. So negative 2 is actually a y. And then for x, you plug in 3. All right, how long you see what you have? What did you get? Negative, put negative 3 minus negative 2. Okay, so you put 2 minus sign. So it's negative 3 minus negative 2. Okay, you see the difference in what I just put in? Yeah. Okay, now, negative 1. Okay, so at the top is negative 1, and then figure out what you got at the bottom. Okay, so let's talk about this fraction. I'm seeing this almost the same thing on everybody's page. So let's start working through it. What did you end up with, Secretary? No, so, well, 0.5 is what you, so you're probably the closest. So watch what happens, okay? So m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We need to label our points. So they're going to be x1, y1, x2, y2, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what numbers do I plug in at the top of my fraction?
-3.
Negative 3 minus
Minus two.
negative 2 over
1 over 3. I mean,
One.
1 take away 3.
1 minus 3. Very good. So when I do my subtraction, what do I end up with at the top of my fraction?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Very good. Over
Negative 2.
negative 2.
And that gives you 1/2.
Okay, so 1 second. What I saw a lot of people do, and I'm going to write this in a different color. What I saw a lot of people do was you automatically assumed that this was equal to 2. That's not the case. Okay? It is not. If this were equal to 2, it would look like this. 2 over 1. Okay? So you see the difference in the way this looks? The 1 is on the top. So this would need to remain a fraction. Okay? So let's handle this in the right way. So this part, here we go with the sign function and stuff. Let's see. All right. So 2 negatives when we're dividing make what? A positive. And this is going to stay a fraction. So 1/2 is the way I want us to plug that in. What's your question?
I don't get like
Okay, what did you do?
Okay, I got negative 1 over negative 2, and then I got divided it, and I got 1.
So it may be the settings that your calculator is on. When you divided it, it gave you 1 in the calculator. Well, hold on, I don't need you to go back. Let's just do negative 1 divided by negative 2. Negative 1 divided by negative 2. It gives you 0.5. Okay? And if you do math, enter, and change it to a fraction, look what you get. You see? So it may be the way that you entered it, okay? So what's my m equal to? 1/2. My m is equal to 1/2. That's the piece we need to remember. Now, let's move to the second step. So we'll do the second step together. What am I supposed to start with in step 2? What form?
Y equals MA plus B.
Very good. I heard you too, Shanika. He just kind of beat you to it. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? What are my 3 variables that I'm plugging in? Shanita, tell me that piece. What 3 variables am I plugging in for? You remember from step? Y, m. Very good. I'm plugging in for y, m, and x. Jalen, where am I going to get my x and y from?
From your numbers.
What numbers? What are these called up here?
Slow.
Yeah. Points.
Points. One of my points. Okay? So which point do we want to use?
Negative 2.
The one with the negative 2 in it. So we'll use 3 comma negative 2 to Darius. My 3 is going to be plugged in for which variable? 3 stands for which one?
Oh.
What comes first in your order pair?
So I did it right?
Well, tell me what variable comes first in your order pair?
3.
3 is 3, but what's the variable?
X.
X. Very good. X, and the second one would be
Y.
Y. Okay? So, let's start to plug in. Y is equal to
Negative 2.
-2 equals, what's my slope?
1
1
over
over
2.
1/2.
1/2 times
3.
3 plus b. B. Okay?
1/2 times.
So so what were you saying, Jalen? We do what?
1/2 times 3.
1/2 times 3. When you put the 1/2 in your calculator, I need you to put 1/2 in parentheses. So it'll be open parentheses, 1 divided by 2, close parentheses.
When you said it again,
1.5.
Put open parentheses, 1 divided by 2, close parentheses, times 3. What did we get?
1.5.
1.5. I heard you all. I was trying to wait for for the rest of them to get it, okay? So we got 1.5. Now I'm trying to get B by itself. What number is in the way and needs to move out of the way of B?
1.5.
So 1.5. Is it positive or negative? Positive. So how do we move it?
No, negative. We're negative 1.5.
Subtract.
Subtract.
Alright? Those cancel. What's negative 2 minus 1.5?
Negative 3.5.
Yep.
What, did we get the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Negative 3.5. So that's our B. What I want us to do with that, because our slope was in fraction form. So in your calculators, I want you to change this to a fraction for me. How do we do that?
Math, enter.
Math, enter. So what is the fraction?
7/2.
Negative 7/2.
Negative 7 over 2. That's the way I want us to write it in our final equation. So I have my M and I have my B. How do I write my final equation? Y equals, well, I gotta plug in.
Y equals.
Now 1/2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
X
Plus negative
Plus
3.5.
7/2.
Okay,
Plus
plus
Yeah,
negative 7 negative 7 over 2. Okay? Now, what I'm going to mention to you all is that when you take EOC at the end of the school year, the plus negative, you won't see that too often. Okay? So the proper way, the way I want you to write this final equation is instead of writing plus negative, when we put a minus in front of something, that automatically tells us that it's negative. Okay? So let's write our final equation. Y equals 1/2 x minus 7 over 2. Okay? So instead of writing plus negative, I want you to write minus, because this is the way you will see it written on EOC.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm gonna write the way I did mine.
I have to look at exactly what you did. I stopped here because you had 1 for your slope. Okay? And 1 wasn't correct. You should have had 1/2. So I'll look at the rest of it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna try one more, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, get started on that. We start by finding our slope. Okay, let's see what you had. Oh, I think I can see. You had 1, but let's see what you plugged in.
Then,
What was it? That's a negative 3?
plus B, then that's all that in here. Then,
No, so this negative 3 comes from here. That's actually your Y. Okay? So it would have been okay if you used this point, because we can use either one, but this is for Y. So your negative 3 should have actually been plugged in where the Y was, not where the X was. Okay? So that's the difference in what we did up there and what you did. It would have been okay for you to use that point, but you got to plug them in the right spot. Okay? So start this one and try to find the slope for me. Come on, let's see if you can do my slope again. Same way we just did it the last time. So what do we do? This is your formula, but what do we do with our points first? Yes, sir. Label them for me. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. And then after you label them, fill them in that formula and do your subtraction on top and bottom. I hear you, I'm coming to this. Very good, very good. You can. 4 for your Y. Very good, that's very. Okay, so you need a razor. All right, here you go. You start the second part, 6 seconds. Last example, once we get through with this one, then you'll be able to do your practice problems. Very good, Shanita. Very good, Shadanica.
What about this?
Let's see. Good job. Okay, let's write our equation.
5
Equals.
equals
Mm-hmm.
8
And then, that's what I'm talking about. Shadanica, you were almost done. Did you write your equation?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, you're missing one thing. Tell me what piece you're missing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What?
The 8.
Yes, ma'am. Now you got it very good. That is exactly correct. You're slow.
So if it's just 2 D work, the Y, and then you choose one of the Y's and then what?
Okay, so write y equals mx plus b first. I hear you, sure. I'll have to get you in just a second. Write your y equals mx plus b. What are 3 variables we're plugging in for?
Y, the M, and the B.
The y, the m, and the
B.
no, not the b, because remember we're solving for b, so it'll be x. Very good. So y, m, and x. Keep going. You plugged in exactly correct. So what's your next step?
So do what you,
What do you need to do with those two? What you supposed to do with those two? When 2 things are right next to each other, what does that mean? Multiply. So -1 times -3 is what you
so I was like, what was supposed to plug in with this?
Okay, so this is where we choose one of our points. It doesn't matter which point.
From either one of these numbers?
Either one, yes. But if you use this -3, then you've got to use the 4. You can't use the -3 and then go over here and use the -1. So choose a point, and then you use both numbers from that one point. So which point you want to use?
Then the 2.
The one with the 2. Okay, that's fine. So what are you going to plug in for y? What's your y? That's the same mistake we made the last time, was y. Remember, it's always x, comma, y. So so what should you be plugging in for y?
The one of the Y's.
Okay, so if you're gonna use the 2, then you've gotta use this one. Okay, so what number?
-1?
-1 goes in for y.
Oh, I see now.
Very good, Tyrone, you're almost there. So did you multiply the 2, Shanita? Okay, so write your 3 under the bottom. Bring down your 4 and your equal sign. Where's your 4? You're bringing it down where? Right here. Equals. And then bring down your plus b. Now, what number is near the b that needs to move? The 3. Is it positive or negative? So what do you do to move it? -3. Very good.
No.
All right. About 30 more seconds and then we'll review together. Very good. So what should be?
1.
Very good. So now subtract 4 minus 3. Now you should have your B and you can write your final equation. All right, let's review and then we'll be able to get to our independent practice a little bit, okay? My formula I start with, M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Shanita, what's gonna go at the top of this fraction?
-1.
Subtract 4,
Very good. You can go ahead and give me the bottom two, Shanita.
2, subtract -3.
Very good. Jalen, what's that gonna equal?
-5/5.
Negative 5/5. Said Terrius, when you divided, what did you end up with?
-1.
-1. Very good. So we know that M equals -1. We found our slope. Now we need to find our B. Okay? So, Shadanika, I start with y equals mx plus b. Tell me which three variables I'm plugging in for.
You plug in for Y, M, and B.
No, I'm not plugging in for b because remember I'm solving for b. So it's y, m, and
X.
x. Very good. So, Shadanika, we know where we get our m from. Tell me where I'm going to get my x and y from.
You gonna get it from what's that up there?
What do they call?
The Y and the step.
Well, no.
Yeah.
One of our points.
Points.
So one of our points.
-3 and 4.
Okay, we can use -3 and 4. That's x and y. So Shadana could go ahead and plug in for me.
It's gonna be 4 equals -1 times -3 plus b.
Very good. Okay, so -1 times -3 is gonna give us.
It's gonna give us 4 equals 3 plus b.
Very good. So -1 times -3 gives us 3 to Darius. What do I do on this step? You use the other point on your paper, but you can tell me what to do for this step. I need to move what number out of the way of b?
3.
The 3 is it positive or negative?
-3.
I'm gonna do -3 or -3 on both sides. Those cancel. 4 minus 3 is? What's 4 minus 3? 1. Okay? 4 minus 3 is 1, so that means my b is equal to 1. Jalen, write my final equation for me.
Y equals -1x plus 1.
Very good. So that is exactly correct. One thing I want to point out, because I always want you to know what it's going to look like on when you get ready to take the test. You probably won't see this 1 written here. Okay? So what, Shadana, what is it going to look like?
-x.
Very good. So on ELC, you'll see it written like this. So even though once you've done all your work and you wrote this, that doesn't mean if you don't see this that it's not right, okay? I need you to recognize that this is the same thing as this, okay? You won't see the -1. Write that final one down.
Only way you can tell it's still there because the negative x.
Yes, because the negative sign is there.
Turn it into if it's a verb by itself, turn it into not just the one.
Very good. So the 1 is understood. Absolutely correct. So this is where I want us to go. Does anybody have a question about the process? All right, we're going to turn to page 310. Page 310. And when you get there, we are working on numbers 28 through 33. We are doing all of them, not just even or odd, we're doing all of them. Page 310, numbers 28 through 33. You have some?
Hold on, you said,
Oh, you need some.
No, I think I need some.
All right.